Welcome back to the Wayward Way channel. This is episode 2 on the road to Keji Backyard Ultra to 2026. And my name is Nick, and yeah, that's pretty much the only intro I got. So let's get into it. This week it wasn't very flashy. The withdrawal from weed was playing with my head a little bit, but we got through it. I slipped up on nicotine there. I forget what day it was now. They all kind of blend together. But man, that's a tough one. It's very tough. I suppose quitting both at the same time is a very difficult task in itself. But I've been trying to have grace for myself and just be patient. So, but no weed. I didn't smoke any. So, although I did want to at a couple points, um, but yeah, we did not. So that's a win. That's a win in my book. I didn't go to the shed and disappear. I didn't escape. So we're here. We're present, or more present, I guess. We still got work to do. So, but yeah, this week was heavy. It was grindy. It was repetitive. Work is busy, which is good and bad. Um, Working on some big projects is overwhelming at times, but we get through it. I'm very valued at work, so that helps a lot. I find with quitting weed, especially, I'll talk more of that mental side of quitting weed with the whole identity crisis and what goes along with that. But physically, let's talk about physical sides. This week I finished with 130 kilometers run. My legs are sore. Fatigue, mental fatigue, physical fatigue, all the fatigues just from stacking days. We're on day 64. I'm kind of losing track of what day it is just because um, I'm not very interested in what's the word I'm looking for here, in documenting the days or like every individual run. It's more the overall process that I want to get through. So, but yeah, we're running every day. Weekdays, I do 10K at work at lunchtime. Work's gracious enough to allow me to take a little bit of time for my lunch break and run 10K. It takes me about an hour, with a little over an hour if I'm counting the time that it takes to get ready and get dressed and everything like that. So, but on the weekend we hit it hard. Saturday we did 60 kilometers. We did 10 loops of a local trail called the Toboggan Loop. And I did that until about 1:30 in the morning. I did 10 loops by myself. I was joined by a friend for 2 loops early on, but the night loops were all solo, and that really sucked. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I finished with 60 kilometers run, as I said, and about 1,800 meters of elevation. So it was a heavy day, and the following day, despite the GI distress that I was in that night, to put it lightly, I went out the following Sunday, to run 20 kilometers as a recovery run, and we got that in somehow. And physically speaking, I was a little worried. There was a little tweak in my leg there uh, on Sunday, but that's since cleared up. I stretched it out. I foam rolled a little bit. Mm, no, I don't think I foam rolled yet. I just stretched. But we have to foam roll after we record this video. So just to get the kinks out. And stairs are difficult, but today being Monday, I went for my 10K again, and we just take it easy. And I find my easy pace now is a lot faster than it was before, so I have to force myself to slow down and recover. The mental side, mentally speaking, oh man, what a game! What a game! I procrastinate pretty much every run, especially during the weekdays at work. The loop that I do there is through an industrial park, and it's the most boring loop that I could possibly dream of. You have these big dump trucks and cement trucks and just it's just road and industrial buildings of businesses. There's no real scenery. There's nobody. There's nobody out there. It's just me running. Um, so yeah, it's really tough to get going for the same loop day after day. But that's the point. That's where we need to be for, especially for backyard ultra training. You need to be able to repeatedly show up when you don't want to. So that's what we do. Also, on the mental side of things, I was questioning myself. Questioning myself. Um, I think that ties in with the identity crisis that I was talking about. There was a couple points where I just didn't know. Hmm, how should I put that? I didn't know. I couldn't see the end goal. Like I couldn't see the rationality behind doing what I was doing, and that ties in with the withdrawal, and that was kind of separate from myself. What do you call that? Imposter syndrome, or it's like what's the point of even doing this? Like it's for a race, yeah, but like overall, I spend so much time and energy and effort into training for this thing, and like my stomach could go sideways. I could twist an ankle. Like all these things came at me, and even posting, like I make these long. I don't do it recently, but I make these long Instagram posts where I spend a lot of time and energy into writing these long form kind of reflections, let's say, and I just don't think anybody really reads them. They might like them, like they might engage a little bit, but nobody comments. Nobody. I don't think anybody ever reads them. They just look at the picture and just double tap and move on. But I think and that's no fault of anybody. That's more of the nature of Instagram. But for me, it's more. How should I say it? For me, it should be more about documenting the process for myself. I and I don't need. I try to separate the external validation from what I do. But recently, I just been posting stories like day after day. I don't think people want to really see somebody out there running 10K a day. Like, oh, whoop de doo. There's his, there's Nick running his 10K again. Blah blah blah. Sure, the weekend runs are cool. Like 60 kilometers, that's pretty cool. Nobody really, very few people rhyme those off regularly. So, um, and that ties into comparisons. Like I compare how other people's, like more famous people's posts get engaged with, and like I'm here writing these long form posts. I'm putting a lot of heart into these write ups that I don't feel anybody's really reading or appreciating. So that weighs on me a lot, or it did anyway for this past week, and just the withdrawal, man. It magnifies it all, and just feeling like nobody cares. Nobody really gives a damn what I'm doing, and that's fair, but it's a tough feeling to sit with. Like I rarely run with anybody. I run most of my runs are solo. It feels like I don't really have a lot of friends at some points. Running is all I do. Blah blah blah. Um, and that's a tough spot to be in. Like my friends that I grew up with, they're not runners at all, and the friends that I do run with are very few and far between, and that makes me think that there's something wrong with me, or like you know what I mean. There's something off, and maybe it's just the way that I come across. I have a resting neck face where people don't know how to take me, or I don't know. Maybe I said something somewhere along the way that people didn't like, but it's something that I have to just kind of work through, and that's one of the bigger mental sides, and that could be withdrawal talking too. Like I have to take all this stuff with a grain of salt, in that I just don't know what is real and what is not. As my brain recalibrates, as my nervous system recalibrates, I have to trust the process and just keep pushing through. And I'm good at that, so I just kind of lean into that. So yeah, the work, we've been putting in work, as I said, over 900 kilometers now. 64 days into the run streak, 60K. I mean, not 60K. 10K a day at a minimum. So we didn't skip any runs, we didn't shorten any runs, despite the feeling or thought that we should. But as the run went on, uh, it was Sunday that I did my 20K. I almost turned around at 10K when it was my shin actually. My shin started to bark at me a little bit. And I was like, oh no, I'm getting shin splints. I got to stop before I worsen it. But as I went on, I stopped to stretch a little bit. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that I did a whole stretching routine, but I walked a bit, and then yeah, it just kind of it was no longer an issue after a certain point. So thankfully uh, today being Monday, one day after, it's no longer an issue at all, and I was able to run quite comfortably, not comfortably, but with as comfortably as you can after running 80 kilometers in a week. But it was there's no issues, no injuries, just soreness. So the streak is alive. I showed up so tired. Uh, Motivation, like, uh, motivation. That's the kicker. I've been highly unmotivated, probably more unmotivated than motivated at most of the times that I've tried to run, or that I showed up to run. I was just uh, I hate to say disciplined, because I'm not the most disciplined of people. I'm pretty lackadaisical in terms of procrastinating and just trying to find ways to get out of it. Not get out of it, but just to make it easier, I guess. Like, I know it's got to get done. I know I'm going to do it, but it just takes me a couple minutes to to work myself up into visualizing getting it done. And that's probably part of the problem, is I try to visualize it too much, in that I visualize the whole 10K or the whole run, and I don't just get out there and just do 1 kilometer at a time. I try to see the whole picture rather than just zoom in. Um, I feel like I'm talking fast, but we're right on time. We're right on time, so we're doing good. So yeah, discipline carried the week. As much as I hate to say it, I'm not the most disciplined of people, but just knowing that I had to get the work done for my own, not my own sanity, but for my own story, my own story that I'll tell myself at the Keji Backyard Ultra, when it gets hard, when it gets dark and cold and lonely and all these things. When it gets really hard, that's the story I'm going to tell myself, is that I showed up when I didn't want to so many times, that this loop or the next loop or whatever loop I'm on is just no comparison to what I've already been through. So um, yeah, and that brings me to my next point: is boredom and fatigue are part of the process, and how that's probably the truest statement I can make in this video, is that showing up when you don't want to is the biggest return of investment that you can make. Not that, not you, but that I can make in myself, and physically, mentally, and even spiritually. Like the loop that I do at work is the most boring, draining, monotonous, just dreadful. Like it's always windy up there. The weather's always messed up. But I show up regardless of how I feel, mentally or physically. I show up and I do it. It gets done, and then boom, I'm happy about it. Then I can make my post or make my story, or whatever I got to do to make sure that I document it for my own story, for my own journey, let's say. And for Keji, it's all real backyard ultra training. This is the grind. Like I know everybody has their different methods, but this is the way. This is the way we're doing it. This is the way that's worked for us in the past, and this is the way we're doing it. And we're not focused so much on long runs, but it's the repetition. It's the repetition. Like last year, I was running a lot more. Like I had at least two 160-kilometer weeks in my training plan last year. But this year, I'm easing off on the volume, but I'm making it more repetitive and more boring. So it sounds exciting, doesn't it? And it is, but not in the ways of entertainment value, that's for sure. So the overall theme is moving when I don't want to, showing up when I don't want to, and just doing it. And all throughout this, I work full time. We have a young child who is 16 months now, almost 16 months, going on 16 months. My daughter is 12, and I have a stepson that is graduating high school, so we're busy. It's a busy time in the household, and not to mention we just moved into a new house not that long ago, so there's that. So I'm just a regular dude doing regular things, and I just run a lot, but there's nothing special, that's for sure. And honestly, I think we're right where we need to be for a successful showing at Keji this year. Well, another successful showing. Last year I won it. You can't get much more successful than that, I guess. But, and I just want to touch on that too. There's not, hold on here. Kind of ties into the comparison thing where I don't want to be in a place where I'm competing against anybody except myself. I want to see how far I can go. The field is deep this year, and I want to be able to say that I gave it my all. There's going to be loops where I'm going to be in my own head saying that this is going to go on forever, or this person looks so strong, or that person looks so strong, blah 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 blah. I want to be in my own race, in my own competition, I guess, of what I'm trying to say, and really make it a team effort. I want to be able to say that I worked with other runners rather than worked against them, because I think that's really the secret of going long in these events is kind of teaming up with some of the other runners and just pulling each other along, encouraging each other, and pushing each other to the limit. Like there's so many runners out there that are capable of going far, but they get in their own head. They treat it like a race, and I've done it too. I've done it a couple of years ago where I was competing, and it doesn't work. It's just a mental grind. But anyways, that's probably another story for another day. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Come back. I'll be back next week where we'll recap. And this week I got a big plan to go down to Maine. I'm pacing my buddy Luke at the Riverlands 100. So I got 50 miles on tap, a free 50 miles training run on the weekend. So next time you see me, we'll see how that goes. And yeah, that's about all we got for today. But if you if you if you come back next week, then I appreciate that. But if you made it this far, I also appreciate that. So I'll work on my outro too. I'm not really comfortable with that. But anyways, keep walking the wayward way.